Hello and welcome to the Breakers Breakdown podcast, sponsored by the NBL Basketball Fix. Big thank you to NBL Basketball Fix for hosting us. I'm your host, Henry Lee. Glad to be here for the first episode of the podcast, here with Logan as well. Logan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm great. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good. It's been a busy day. Obviously, I've been at the Breakers game that was today, the unfortunate loss against the Wildcats. We'll get onto that very soon. But first of all, obviously a big thank you to Basketball Fix for having us. There's obviously lots of podcasts going on at the moment. We've got the Tasmanian Takeover, the Wildcat Rap, and the Hawks Hangout and stuff. So make sure you go check it out on all the socials. There's social accounts everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on Spotify as well. And make sure you check out the website that has all of the latest NBL news. First of all, Logan, let's get into a bit about ourselves. Let's introduce ourselves to our listeners and viewers, wherever you're listening. Bit about myself to start. I've been a big Breakers fan for ages, since I can remember. I remember Cedric Jackson and like CJ Bruton back in the day. They were like my favorite players. So ever since then, I've been going to the Breakers quite a lot. And then recently I've got into kind of the media side of stuff. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into that. I think Logan will do our favorite Breakers moment. Let's do our favorite Breakers moment. But, I'll first get you to introduce yourself, talk a bit about yourself, and then we'll do our Breakers moment.
Yep, I'm Logan Angove. I'm a passionate Breakers fan since I can, remember being about 5, like a little kid. And like just growing up, I remember like Corey Webster, he was always like my guy. Like I just loved watching him on TV. And to be honest, my favorite Breakers moment, probably just the season that we had with RJ Hampden. I thought that was just really exciting. Like watching all those games just made me like so happy.
Yep, I agree. That season was incredible. Obviously with all the thing about them, about the first like Next Stars kind of program and stuff like that, to hear them kind of go from the Breakers in Auckland to the NBA is kind of a crazy transition. So I agree. That was a crazy. My favorite Breakers moment would probably have to be. I was at the Abekwe game winner ages ago. At the North Shore Event Centre. I can't even remember what year it was. And that was up there. But I think being in person at Spark Arena for the Barry Brown dunk in game 4 of the finals the other year, that was like the loudest I've ever heard Spark Arena. So that was definitely my favorite Breakers moment. Let's get into the season review. We'll start off with a bit of review. Since it's the first episode and we're already 3/4 through the season, we'll talk a bit about the season. Logan, what was your initial thoughts? Obviously, we started off really well, really hot. So how did you think we started the season?
Yeah, obviously it was a great start, and then people were saying like, oh, they've been facing easy teams, and I didn't really want to think much of it, but it's kind of turned out that way. But I think a few things that have just happened, like key things, have been like the start of like the downfall for me, I reckon.
What did you think, first of all? Because obviously Modi Mayor, when he left in the offseason, there was kind of lots of questions about who we're going to bring in as head coach and stuff like that. And Petteri Koppinen kind of came out of nowhere. Were you a bit worried kind of going into the season with Petteri Koppinen compared to like what you were with Modi?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what to expect because I really loved Modi. I thought he was a great coach. Like he brought the energy. Like he knew what he was doing as well. But I think Coach Kopp, he's got all the boys feeling happy. Like they're all working together, and I think whatever happens, like he's got an idea to make everything work. We've already seen that with Tacko so far over just a few weeks, how he's been able to change the team.
Yeah, I completely agree. Personally, for me, I agree. I had it quite a fond feeling with Modi. I think I really enjoyed Modi's reign as Breakers coach. I think he really was good at kind of bringing the fans into play. I remember those Spark games with him in charge were just like loud as, massive as. He'd love getting the crowd. And you're right, the energy he had on the sideline was kind of it went out to everyone else on the field, on the court. Sorry, so all the Breakers players kind of fed off from that. So it was really good for that. But Coach Kopp's kind of I think he's brought a calmer energy. Yeah, like you can kind of see on the sideline, he's a bit more calmer. but I wasn't sure what to expect with his kind of playing style. How have you kind of thought his playing style's been so far? Obviously, coming from a Euro League, and he was quite a good player, obviously. So, how do you think that's kind of transitioned to our game?
Yeah, well, obviously the playing style has had to change quite a bit, but I think as a first season coach in the NBL, he's done quite a good job. Like I think he understands the game really well, being like an ex-player, and I feel like being having like someone like PJC on your team, he's able to like help his game um get better whilst being the coach as he's done that before.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think the EuroLeague style's kind of working? Because I remember the first like 6 weeks of the season, it was like it was quite a big change to the way we were playing. And then everyone was going, "Oh wow, like is the EuroLeague slow basketball gonna work?" Because I remember there was lots of talk about how we were playing the slowest in the league. The half court offense and stuff was really slow. Did you think it was gonna be that successful to start?
Well, not really, because we were playing a slow offense and we have like the fastest dude in the league in PJC on our team. So it was kind of like a contrasting thing there. But I think having that slow offense did work, and although it's changed a bit now, I think our offense is quite like organized, and definitely all the players do know like their assignments and what we want with like where we want to get to, which I think is a good thing.
Yep, I completely agree. Let's talk about probably the biggest talking point for the Breakers this season, and I think it's probably one of the biggest talking points in the league this year. The Taco Fall situation, how it all started, bringing him in when they were in America, when the Breakers were in America. The whole situation about it's just it makes my brain angry, Logan. Just the whole thing from where it started. Um,
Yeah.
what were your initial thoughts? I'll let you talk a bit about your initial thoughts because I think you have quite a different opinion to what I have. But yeah, you can talk a bit about that.
Yeah, well, so the start of the season, I think Meninga was kind of like he kind of shocked everyone a little bit. He was actually like we didn't expect him to be doing like what he was doing. I remember the first few games, he came out, he was shooting the lights out from downtown. Gillespie was kind of taking a back seat, and then over the next few weeks, we kind of saw them both like contribute to their role. Gillespie started giving us that really big impact on defense, and we kind of saw what he could do. And watching him in the NBA, um, in that little time that he had there, like I knew that he could have the impact, and it started to show as we went on a bit of a winning streak there. And then obviously the news came that Tacko Fall was coming to the team as like a training player, and it wasn't too long before the news came that Gillespie was leaving and Taco is going to be um a main roster player, which was quite a shock to me and I suppose lots of the fans because it was like we didn't have anything that wasn't working. Like Gillespie and Reninga were a pretty good center duo together. I think people were definitely excited for Taco, but we didn't really need that. But it's turned out okay, I guess.
Yep. I agree with actually a lot of what you said there. I think I just have a very strong opinion about it because of how good we were going and how Gillespie was kind of translating into an NBL player. Because obviously it started pretty negatively with in the preseason with Freddie Gillespie headbutting in preseason and that kind of stuff. And we had question marks about Freddie Gillespie. I know I did personally. I had a lot of question marks about whether he was going to be a good fit, considering he was one of our biggest imports going into the season. And then when Taco Fall came as a training player, like you said, when they were in America, I mean, I had question marks already about Taco Fall. I mean, I was excited from a marketing perspective. From a marketing perspective, the Breakers are probably that's probably the main reason why they did it because they're getting so much attraction from the fact that Taco falls on their roster. Um, I think when it really got tough, it was funny because when they made the decision about Gillespie leaving, it was going really well. I think that it was odd that they made that decision. If they had made that decision early on in the NBA trip when Freddie Gillespie wasn't playing that well, I think it would have made a lot more sense. Whereas when they changed it, when Gillespie was on a mutual release, apparently, which once again I don't agree with, um, that's when I think they went wrong, is that they decided to do it at such a bad time that it kind of impacted the team so negatively. And we went on an losing streak of 7 games or 8 games straight after Tacko Fall was added into the team. And that's not on Tacko. I want to hear your thoughts about that. Like, it's not on Tacko personally, but I think his move from Gillespie has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, well, obviously bringing in someone who's 7'5", isn't he? 7'6". Like that was such a big change. The first few games, it just looked like everybody was kind of lost. No one knew what to do. But I feel like him and Gillespie, Gillespie was kind of a similar sort of player, except that he just wasn't all that tall, but he knew how to bring an impact on defense, not just protecting the rim, but he could guard like that pick and roll and like that high post, which Tacko is having quite a lot of trouble with. And I feel like Gillespie, like he was a good role player in the team. Like he made everyone else better. With Tacko, I feel like he has to be like the team. He has to be one of the main guys because of how much impact he has and what he can do on offense.
Yep. I think we'll talk about in a minute about his gameplay and his game style. Last thing on the ownership kind of side of it, I was really disappointed from a Breakers point of view, Breakers fans point of view, the way that Gillespie was treated, the way that the kind of situation happened. Whereas I feel like, and I don't know, a lot of fans feel the same way, that Gillespie was kind of booted out the door. I know that they'd never say that, they'd never come out and say that. But the fact that Tacko Fall was there training with him, he even traveled to Auckland. He moved his family to Auckland before he even signed as a full-on player. To me, that's kind of disrespectful to a player that's in your team that you've committed to in Freddie Gillespie. And I think that they let kind of the franchise down as a whole. Matt Walsh, Lizalda, that I think they've let the franchise down from a fan's point of view as well. And I think that I'll go out and say that it was quite a money-making experience, I think, for Matt Walsh and stuff. I think that might be quite a bold statement, but to get Tacko Fall to break to the Breakers and get him in Spark Arena, I feel like that is such a big move to kind of just get bums on seats at Spark Arena and get people clicking on their posts and stuff like that because Tacko Fall is part of the team. That's just how I see it. I'm not sure how you see it, Logan, from that kind of point of view.
Yeah, no, I agree with like all this is like a money making experience, but then about that, like it's kind of made me realize over like the last few games where we have seen an improvement, like it could turn out actually not bad if we give them more time and say next year, um, once we've had more time with Tucker and the team, we could be like unstoppable. Like no one will be able to beat us if we work together and can fit around him.
Yep, I think that's a good thing, and let's get on to that now. We'll start with the Wildcats game. Obviously, the disappointing game today. Obviously, it would be a couple days ago when this podcast is released, but yeah, the Breakers lost to the Perth Wildcats at home at Spark Arena. It was a better game for the Breakers. I think I went away from it thinking that I don't think that we played that badly, but it kind of just didn't end up coming together as a whole. What was your overall thoughts on that game, Logan?
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing that we just came away and like kind of dropped off at the end, but for most of the game, I thought for the most part we were, sticking with them, like we were in the battle. But yeah, just a few like letdowns as soon as we were getting kind of within like 5 points or so, we'll just commit a few turnovers, and I think it was about 17 to 4 maybe when I checked on the game, which you just can't have happen and expect to win.
Yep. The big thing for me, overall wise, is that I liked the effort. I liked how we kind of came back. We fought back because obviously we spent a lot of the game behind behind the Wildcats, coming back from little runs and little leads that the Wildcats had. So I like to see that kind of the resilience that we showed, but without PJC, without Dane Pinot and Mojave King in the second half, obviously was injured as well. It was tough to beat. And the Wildcats are a classy side. They've got lots of class on their roster with Bryce Cotton as well. We've got to say that. So it was kind of disappointing in the end how we fell up. Let's go with the player spotlight to start. Let's talk about our man Tacko. First of all, Logan, do you want to talk a bit about what you thought of Tacko's performance?
I thought it was probably his best game so far. You know, that first half, he was on fire. Like, everything was going through him. I think he had like nearly 20 points maybe first half. Yeah, 4 blocks too, which, you know, is a big impact. But he was getting in the right spot. He was posting up, getting a lot of easy passes down, which we saw didn't happen in the first few games, which is good to see.
What do you think about the offense? Because I know personally, with the offense, obviously, with someone 7'6", it's really difficult to kind of work around that, and he's not that mobile. Let's be real. So the way that we kind of use him is interesting. I like the sets that we were running today with Mojave King and another shooter running off the ball, switching sides, and then they were getting the ball to the corner where someone would loop a little pass over to Tacko, who'd be isolated with one of the bigs. I think we saw that multiple times throughout the game. And I quite like that. And it was weird because the Wildcats didn't really double him at all in those direct post-ups. They didn't really double him at all, which I found quite interesting because he found a lot of buckets just off that little post-up move, little hook, and catching a pass, high pass. What did you think about the offense that we were running with him?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite one-dimensional, if I'm being honest. You know, maybe the more options will come, but I think at the moment, as we saw today, basically all we had was give it to Tacko and score, unless you're Matt Mooney coming off screens and shooting threes, which no one else did at all. But yeah, also about him getting doubled, yeah, it was like interesting to see, but what they did do is like double him before he got the catch, which um caused a few turnovers, which we just need to be aware of if we're always throwing that into him and he's got 3 guys jumping at him.
I think it's interesting because some teams have been doubling him, some haven't been. Some have been doing it before the ball, before the pass. Some have been doing it as soon as he gets the pass, and others haven't. Like, it's been interesting kind of the way each team's kind of dealing with him. With the Wildcats one, I thought there was loads of fouls on the inbound passes.
Yeah.
I know that I was right behind the hoop on a couple of those inbounds in the second half where they were chucking it up to him. And yes, it's a fair contest. Yes, there's going to be contact. It's a contact sport. But I think there's a lot of holding. There's a lot of arms. There was one point in the second half where the crowd got really loud at one point just before an inbound pass because Keanu Pinder and I think Hiram Harris had 2 arms up completely on Tacko, not letting him even catch the ball, and the referees didn't call it. We won't moan about the referees too much. We probably didn't deserve to win the game anyway. But I think it's really interesting to see each team kind of deals with Tacko. If we switch to the defensive side of the ball, what do you think defensively about Tacko? Because for me, he just needs to come up on screens. He just needs to come up and show on screens because especially with Bryce Cotton, who was just coming off the screen and pulling up the 3. I think he's just got to step up on the 3 after the screen. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like, we all know he can protect the rim, but I think it's that one extra step forward that he's got to take. You know, like, it's better to let someone go past and he can turn around and get back to protect them than give them like an open mid-range floater every single time. And yeah, just also a question for you about the offense. As we've seen it's been quite different the last couple of games with no PJC. What do you think is going to happen when he comes back into the team? Do you think it's going to change a bit?
I think it will change a bit. I think that the thing about PJC is that when we get him the ball, things happen. Like, things happen around us. We're a better team with PJC. Any team in the league is probably a better team with PJC in it. But the thing with Mooney is that when PJC hasn't played, Mooney stepped up big time. and has got a lot more points, a lot more usage. So I think we need to somehow find a way for PJC to be as effective with the ball, and then as well as Mooney, because if we can somehow get Mooney firing to 75% of what he is currently without PJC, and if we add PJC to the mix, I think we can be so much a better team with obviously Tacko being effective as well with Mooney. So I'd like to see us give Mooney more usage and get him the ball more often, as well as having PJC in the mix, if that makes sense. What do you think?
Sorry, Mike was muted then.
That's right.
Yeah, we saw for quite a big stretch of games while we've been in that losing streak. Mooney is he's kind of struggled. He was quite hot to start the season, and then yeah, having PJC next to you kind of like took all the spotlight off him, and I feel like he just struggled a little bit being able to like find his feet and like play his game because the offense was so centered around PJC and what he can do. But I think the last few games we've been able to see more to Mooney's game. I think like last game he had 10 assists, and tonight he had 5 or 6, which shows that like if we need another point guard, Matt Mooney can play that role. And I think that his shooting he's probably the best shooter on our team. And although like he struggled for like quite a bit, we just saw tonight that what he can do. And yeah.
I agree. I think the offense is heavily, because it feels like either one of PJC or Mooney are going to play well when they're both playing. Feels like one of them are going to have a 20-point game, but for some reason we can't get them both firing at once. So I think that's the biggest test for Coach Kopp, is to somehow figure out a system where we can find the ball to Tacko, but as well we can get Matt Mooney open for shots, and we can get a pick and roll and stuff like that going with PJC, because we don't want to make PJC less effective, because I think he was front runner for the MVP while we were going well. So there's no reason why he can't stay as effective as he was.
Mm-hmm.
Enough on the offense. Defensively, quickly, the Tacko, like we just touched on earlier, the standing up on threes and stuff. For me, the biggest thing is that I would rather him come up off the screen, show his hands, stop the 3 ball, and then try to beat him, and then he can either chase down block or he can draw help as well. Other people can come help, and they can kick it out to them in the corner, rather than him just sitting in the paint, right? They set one screen and then Bryce Cotton's got an open 3. I think we're settling for that way too much. Tacko doesn't have to go one-on-one and guard a guard, but he just has to be up slightly with his hand up there and force a shot. His wingspan is like, I don't even know how tall his wingspan is. He doesn't need to be that close, but that's just what I think about the defense. What about you?
Yeah, I think the improvement will come, obviously. Like, there's no doubt the team knows that those things have to improve, so they'll try and put that into his game, which we should see hopefully before too long. But yeah.
What do you quickly? I don't want to spend too much talking about the Wildcat rap and their boys, because that's not what we're here for. If they want to talk about the Wildcats, they can listen to that podcast. But Bryce Cotton, quickly, really like watching him in person today. Just knows how to get to his spots. Knows exactly what he's doing. He is. I think he's the best player in the league. He's the toughest player in the league to guard. His performance today was just crazy, and I didn't even feel like he played that well.
Yeah, it kind of just feels like, if you need a bucket, just give the ball to Bryce Cotton. Like, no matter how up in his face you're guarding him or whatever, he always gets a shot off, and it almost feels like 9 times out of 10 it goes in, no matter how hard the shot is. And yeah, like, it didn't even feel like he was doing that much as what we saw last time when he dropped 59, but by the end of the game, he still had 40.
I think the big thing, and I want to give credit actually to Sean Bairstow and Max Darling as well. I think they both guarded him actually, and this sounds really weird considering he had 40 points or 39 or whatever it was in the end, but they actually guarded him really well. Like there was nothing in there that I say that was poor defense. It was poor defense. I think that was just a great performance with the ball from Bryce Cotton. I think they did all they could defensively. to try stop him. But I mean, he's the hardest person to guard in the league. So, did you think that they did a good job, or was I just being too positive?
Yeah, I think we did an okay job, but I think he got to the rim probably more times than he didn't shoot many threes tonight, I didn't think, but when he got to the rim, it was like he was either getting fouled every time, which is just that like communication between Tacko and the um other man defending him, because like we saw, you're not going to be able to guard him one on one, which means the help is just going to be there.
Overall thoughts, just quickly on the Perth game as a whole. What from that game would you like to see us take into the next one?
I think starting off that game with getting Tacko involved early, that was a big key, which I think we need to try and implement next game as well. Going on against Brizzy, obviously having one of the biggest centers in the league in Tyrell Harrison. It'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes. But I think also that two-man game between Matt Mooney and Tacko, I think our offense, instead of just passing into Tacko every time, why don't we try and move the ball around? Get Tacko setting some screens and rolling. I feel like tonight was quite like stagnant. Everyone was kind of just standing there. We need more movement, I reckon.
Yep. I think those are great points. And let's move now to the Brisbane game coming up on Monday. Quick turnaround. Actually, now I think about this game's going to be done while the podcast is coming out. So you're probably going to listen to this and think that what are they talking about? The Brisbane game's already happened. But let's just imagine that you haven't seen the Brisbane game. To look forward to the Brisbane game, for me personally, key matchups obviously is Casey Prather against Mooney as well. Obviously, PJC is still out for this game. And then Tacko Fall, like you just touched on, Tacko Fall versus Tara Harrison. I think for that one, it's going to be interesting because he's probably the biggest person that they've played with Tacko, I think. So that'll be interesting to see how they deal. I doubt they'll double him, which means that I don't know, they're going to have to get him moving and they're going to have to get Tara Harrison out of the paint. So I think, like you said, I think the two-man game between Mooney, get him coming and rolling from screens and stuff. I think that's the way forward for that. How do you think Casey Prather Mooney is going to go as well?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just think we're gonna have to protect Tacko from foul trouble. You know, I saw today Breakers commit the most fouls in the league, which is not good when you have key players like Tacko on your team that you really don't want getting in foul trouble. And we saw Matt Mooney got in foul trouble tonight. But yeah, Casey Prather, he's been shooting. He's had a strap on him, man. Like 60% from three, 60% from the field. It's like been quite unreal, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon. So I think just containing him will be quite hard. But I think if we can keep him like below 20 points, then we should have a chance.
The thing about Casey Prather, and I know you watched the game last night, our time, between the Bullets and Sydney. I think that game showed that Casey Prather doesn't have to have the ball the whole time to be effective. I know that I saw him getting a couple shots from just catch and shoots, even in the mid range and stuff like that, stepping in. And in the three ball, like he's going to be effective no matter what. It's just how we kind of stop him. And with with Brisbane Bullets, obviously they've got other players around that can hurt the Breakers. So it'll be interesting to see how we contain him. And I think it's almost kind of like the Bryce Cotton thing. It's not about how many points he's going to score. It's whether we can stop him being as effective. For me, on the defensive side of the ball, what do you think about the other players in Brisbane, like Josh Adams
Yeah,
and,
well,
and stuff like that?
obviously, yeah, Brisbane shoot a lot of threes. Like Condre Cook, Josh Adams now. Um, like with Taco on the court, we're gonna have to make sure we can guard them all on the three. We can't be leaving an open player on 3-point line all game long because we've seen that Brisbane can knock down those threes, and if that gets away to if they get away from us too early in that game, um then yeah, might not turn not turn out too good. But just another point. about rebounding in the next game, because Brisbane are probably the best rebounding team for me, I reckon. We saw just like last game, they had 3 players get double-digit rebounds and points. So, you know, that means there's pressure on Tacko, like Darling, Bolden. We need to be getting all those rebounds, because if they get too many second chance points, then yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it's a great point you bring up because I heard a lot in the broadcast last night about their offensive rebounding and stuff like that, and they make really good points because and watching Taco very closely today, I actually don't think he's a very active rebounder. I think he's there, but I don't think he's as active as he can be or should be. I think when I watched him today, there's a couple times where he's just there thinking that he's going to get it because he's so tall. And half the time, he's probably going to get the rebound because he's tall if it comes to him. But I don't think he's an active enough rebounder and boxing out and getting in the right spots to get the boards. So I think it'll be a big test against Brisbane to kind of get there and kind of make it a big effort play of his to kind of get there and get there for the rebounds. I think we've just got to box out big time. I know that their shooters follow and they've got stuff around. Everyone crashes the boards. I think it's just got to be a team effort. Like any rebounding thing is, it's just an effort play. The whole team has to be there. You've got to box out and you've got to grab it. It's all effort for me. But you make a really good point. If we struggle to get rebounds against Brisbane, we're probably going to lose. And on to the next thing, prediction for Brisbane game.
Oh, um,
Do we got to be positive?
I
Do you
think.
reckon we've got?
I mean, you gotta. I think no matter if we like win or lose, I think Matt Mooney's in for another big game. I also think Kareem Lopez. He didn't have a very good night tonight. I think he will have to step up. Play a bigger role in this next game. And obviously, I like to see like Sam Meninga and Jonah Bolden get more involved too. Just everyone be a bit more aggressive.
Yep, I think those are really good things because especially that the Kareem Lopez point you make is brilliant because I posted this earlier on my social media account. I said about Kareem Lopez, a slight downfall, I think, of Kareem Lopez. He was awesome in the first half of the season. And I'm not saying he's dropped as a player or he's got worse as a player, but I think he's just lacking a bit of form. There was a couple of games in a row early in the season where he was grabbing 10 boards, he was crashing the boards, he was shooting it, he was aggressive, he was passing, making all these flashy plays. We know that Kareem Lopez can do this. It's just we've got to see it on a more regular basis. And at the moment, we're not seeing anything from Kareem Lopez.
Yeah, so for me, I I don't think we're gonna win, but if we do, it'll be because someone else apart from Matt Mooney and Tucker Fall steps up. Like someone else is gonna have a big game, and I think if we win, we're gonna see that. Whether it's Jonah Bolden, Sam Meninga, Kareem Lopez, someone else will have to step up.
I think that's a good point because now I think about it and we've talked about the matchup. I can't imagine Taco's going to be as effective and as good as he was tonight because the Wildcats didn't really stop him defensively very well or didn't have a big enough body on him. Whereas I feel Brisbane are going to have that big enough body and are going to be good enough defensively and rebounding wise. So it's going to be interesting to see who else steps up. And you make a good point. We have to have someone else step up. So it'll be interesting. I'll go with a Breakers win, tight one, very tight one. What about you? You gonna go for a win?
Uh I'll hope it's there, but I'm not expecting it. But
Okay.
also just on that matchup between Taco and Harrison, like I think we could see more minutes for Meninga in that game, just because it's probably more of a mismatch. Oh, it's kind of a mismatch for Taco and Meninga on him. Taco because he's way bigger, and Meninga because he's way more nimble and can shoot the three if he can shoot the three. He hasn't been shooting the three lately, but I think we might see more minutes to him in that game, just to try and change it up a little bit.
And then after Brisbane on Monday, we've got Illawarra on Saturday. We won't go into too much detail about that because there'll be probably another podcast before then. But Illawarra, that's going to be a big test. Obviously, they lost to Cairns Taipans the other night. That was a crazy game. But they're going good guns blazing. And then we've also got Melbourne United on Monday, the Monday after, which is going to be a big game as well. One of the strongest teams in the league on their day. So it'll be tough to stop them. So it's a very difficult streak for the Breakers, especially after Brisbane. Not that Brisbane's easy, but I think the 2 games after are going to be even more important. What do you think?
Yeah. Schedule does get quite difficult. If we want to start winning, we're gonna have to start winning now, and it's gonna have to come with big improvement from everybody, and obviously getting PJC back, he's gonna have to come make an immediate impact, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll definitely have to wait and see. And obviously, PJC will be back in the next couple of games. There's been a lot of stuff circling around him. I know he tweeted the other day. It got taken down. I don't know whether you've seen this, Logan, but there was all this news about him tweeting that he doesn't want to be here and stuff like that, and that he's leaving, which just creates even more drama around the league, and especially drama that probably the Breakers owners don't want. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, and he'll be back for the Melbourne game, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the 4-game suspension that he's serving. But that's going to do us on this edition of the Breakers Breakdown, the first ever episode. Put that one in the books. Big thanks, obviously, to the Basketball Fix for having us, for hosting us. Make sure you check all of the podcasts out on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, follow all of us on social media. All of our socials will be up in the next couple of days. So yeah, until next time, we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, Logan.